How's it going, everyone? In today's video I'm going to be giving you the 6 reasons why you're not putting on any weight or building any new muscle. Now when people talk about the term put on weight, I'm not a massive fan of it because it doesn't really tell you much. Like, I'm assuming when you're saying that you're talking about actually building new muscle tissue. Because if I wanted you to put on weight, I could just give you 5 litres of water, say go drink that, jump on the scale and you'll have put on weight. Like, it doesn't really tell you much. So I'm going to be tying this into actually putting on weight and seeing the scale going up and just obviously getting bigger, but more importantly that what you are actually putting on is quality muscle tissue. Obviously this is what we're all trying to do when we go in the gym, and some people find it harder than others, and if you think that you're doing everything you possibly can and you're still not seeing any muscle being built, I'm going to give you the answers now as to why that might not be happening. But before I solve all your problems with this video, can you please solve my problem and like the video and give me a wee subscribe? It's absolutely free, it costs you nothing and it helps me out massively, and I will thank you very much via a letter in the post. Now, going on with the list. So, number 1, we're going to start off on the nutrition front here. One of the main reasons why you're not building any new muscle or putting on weight may just simply be because you're just not eating enough. So I hear this from people all the time where they eat so much food and they're just not putting on any weight. So there's a few things to remember here. First of all, just because you think you're eating a lot doesn't necessarily mean that it's enough. Everyone's got their point of being in a calorie maintenance and being in a surplus, and if you've not taken it above that point to be in the surplus, then you're just not going to put on weight. And it might be a lot of food, and you might just need to eat even more food, and everyone's maintenance point is going to be different. Some people might be able to put on weight 2,000 calories, some people it might be 3,000, some people it might even have to be 4,000 calories. So you're going to have to go on the trial and error and work out where your calorie maintenance is, and then from that point you've actually got a concrete target to make sure you hit every day to push the scale up. And there's also the factor that you might not actually be eating as much as you think you're eating, and I've had this with clients before where they come to me and say I'm eating 4,000 calories a day and I'm still not putting on any weight, and then when we start working, they start tracking and they're like barely scraping 3,000 a day. So I'm like, right, okay, so that's like, you're clearly not eating as much as you thought. And then again, it just comes into, you just need to be eating that little bit more. Now, go more into the specifics of nutrition. The second reason why you're not building any new quality muscle tissue is maybe because you're just not eating enough protein. It's all well and good eating a lot of calories, but if you're not getting enough protein within those calories, then you're just not going to be building any muscle. I'm sure we all know by now that protein is what your body uses to build muscle, and you need to make sure you're eating enough. It's as simple as that. And I always balls this up when I try and say it, so I'm going to like slow this right down. As a starting point for how much protein you need to eat a day, I'm already almost flubbing the words. Every day, for every kilogram of body weight, you need to be eating, I would say, at least 2 grams of protein. So if you weigh 80 kilos, you need to be eating at a starting point 160 grams of protein. From there, when you get in the habit of doing that and can do that easy enough, you try and bump that up to, I would say, up to around 2.5 grams per kilo of body weight. So hopefully that made sense. I could have just used pounds and made it easier, but I'm not a nonce and I weigh myself in kilos. So yeah, actually be mindful of the quality of food you're eating and make sure that you're getting in enough protein. Now, number 3, we're going to be going into the gym. Figuratively, not literally of course, although I am in the gym already. So there's a good chance the reason that you're not building any new muscle and putting on weight is because you're not training each muscle group frequently enough. Training a muscle once a week isn't going to be enough to make it grow, and it doesn't matter how good that session is, and if you do 5, 6 different exercises, 30 sets or whatever, it's just not enough. You need to be training your muscles at least twice a week. The logic to simplify this, and how I always explain it, is if you train a muscle once a week, you're giving it 1 chance to grow. If you train it twice a week, you're giving it 2 chances to grow. And if you're sitting there saying, oh, well, I do 6 exercises and 30 sets for my chest, how can I possibly do that twice a week? Well, you're right. So what you just simply do is you take those 6 exercises and 30 sets and split them in half and do 3 on one day and 3 on another. Twice a week is going to be enough to start seeing results, but depending on your split, you might be as high as 3 times a week. Now, there was a wee bit foreshadowing there for point number 4, and I didn't plan on that pun, but Amazon. If you are training your muscles twice a week and not seeing any muscle growth, then there's a good chance that you're just overtraining within your 2 sessions a week. There's a lot of you watching this that are doing so much junk volume and don't even realise it. You're doing exercise after exercise, set after set, and you're taking yourself way past the point of diminishing returns of that work actually being conducive to growing muscle. Let's say you're doing like 4 or 5 exercises over 20 sets training your chest in a session, and you're doing that twice a week, you're probably only going to get the benefit from those first 8 to 12 sets. Anything after that, just a waste of time. You're getting absolutely nothing from it. Not only is that a waste of time, but it's actually going to be detrimental to your muscle growth, and I'm going to explain why. You might be thinking, but if I do those first 8 to 12, won't I just get the growth from that and nothing from the remaining sets? Well, you will to an extent, but then what happens is you do those remaining, let's just say 8 sets, and not only do you get nothing from it, but you're just adding extra fatigue onto your muscles. And then what happens is the next time you go in to train your chest, you're not fully covered, you can't train as effectively, you can't push yourself as hard, and as a result, and I'm off the screen now, there's no new muscle going to be built. So if you're training each muscle twice a week, I would say somewhere between 8 to 12 sets twice a week. That is the sweet spot. Now, number 5, that everything I always say comes back to this. If you're not putting on any weight and building any new muscle, there's a good chance that you're just not training hard enough. You're not progressively overloading properly. You're not taking yourself close enough to failure. I mean, you've heard me talk about this enough. If you don't push yourself hard and you don't push yourself properly, it's just quite simple. You're just not going to build any new muscle. You don't have to go right to failure every single session. You don't have to add kilos and reps every single week. But over time, if your graph stays like this and you just keep doing the same weights and the same reps and the same thing over and over and over again, you're not giving your muscles any reason to grow. You need to give them that reason to grow. Over time, you should be adding reps, adding kilos, adding sets, whatever your version of progressive overload is, and that should be how your graph's looking, that you just do progressively more and more and more. And if you keep doing more and you're still not building any new muscle, make sure that you are doing it close to failure. Now, the final reason, if you've watched up to this point and you've went down the checklist and you say that you're doing all these things and you're still not building the muscle that you want, then there's a good chance that maybe the reason is how you're actually doing your training, and you're just ego lifting, and more specifically, not doing enough range of motion. I actually don't like the term ego lifting because I think you should have a little bit of ego in the gym and take that in with you to try and push it on a wee bit. However, you can't let it take over you and start doing stupid stuff, but that's totally different conversation. But what I'll see so often is people going in the gym and they are pushing themselves hard, but they're just doing wee partial movements, barely moving an inch. And the actual range of motion that you're doing isn't actually your muscles doing any work. It's just pretty much like the joints and tendons. Like, you haven't actually put your muscles in enough of a stretched position to actually have to contract to lift again. Now, if you get under a bar and you start doing an exercise and you don't actually feel your muscles are actually doing much, you don't feel them working, then there's a good chance that you're just not going deep enough into movements. So if that is you, make sure that you're performing exercises with a full range of motion, and if you think, oh, I'm going full, do more. Take yourself as far as you can go, and if that takes you to the point where, oh fuck, now I'm feeling it, then there's a good chance that that's maybe been your issue the whole time. Now, those are 6 of the most likely reasons why you're not building any muscle and you're not seeing the scale go up. However, if there's any I've missed out that you think should have been included, please feel free to leave a comment and help the algorithm and all that stuff. The usual 2 links are in the bio. Instagram, where I post all my day-to-day training, coaching, words of wisdom. Have a wee look on there, and also my coaching inquiry form is down below as well if you are interested in making 2024 the year of the gains and building as much muscle as you ever had before, more muscle than you ever have before. Click on that link and it'll take you to the form where you can fill it out, and then I can get in touch with you and we can have a wee chat about how I can help you with the gains. It took me that long to record this. I've almost run out of space on my memory card, so hopefully I've never missed anything out. I'll catch you in the next video.